Hello students, this is Dr. Evertson. I'm just recording this video, real brief video, welcoming you to week 2 in our course, Learning to Serve. I'm up on campus right now in my office, and as you can see on our main page of the course here, it's changed. As I promised last week, we've gone from the sort of welcome screen for the first week to this is what's going to be our home page from now on. When you land on the course, you'll see our schedule over to the left, always posted here, so you should be able to track what you're doing week to week. And any announcements, like the one I sent out today about this lesson being delayed a little bit, is right here. And so that's the basic format for the new course. You can see in the side here we have all our tools that generally you'll be prompted to through just going to our lessons. Every day we start a new lesson on Monday and Thursday. You just go to units and lessons and you can click on that, and it should put you in the right place, and just follow the prompts there. But if you ever get lost, you can also come out here to the assignments links or the tests and quizzes links or the forums link, and sometimes items posted in resources. So I hope everybody's familiarized themselves with the course so far. It seems like we had a pretty good week. I finished up with my tasks out at Fort Robinson here, which is about 30 miles from campus, and I was there all last week. So I wasn't at home or near my office, but I was monitoring the course and posting to the course from afar. But that's over. We had a good workshop. If you're interested at all in what went down, you can go to Twitter and you can check the hashtag StoryCatcher18. And we had a really good group of writers out, and it was a lot of fun. But now I'm looking forward to concentrating more time with you all on this service learning course. So I just wanted to welcome everybody. I know we had some of this last week, but I just wanted to welcome everybody who's sort of made it through to the second week. And basically the enrollment of the course has sort of sorted itself out. We started out with 12 students, and we seem to have 9 students officially on the roster at this point. And it looks to me like we're probably going to have wind up with 7 to 8 students probably in the course as we're going forward, which is a small group, but it's a good group, and this is a class where we're doing a lot of interaction with each other. It's actually nice to have the luxury of having a smaller cadre of students. We can learn a lot from each other. I've enjoyed reviewing your forums and your submissions so far in the course. I wanted to say that for the quiz that you took in the first lesson, that quiz, I will update those points this week. So right now, don't be alarmed with the grade you see in your grade book. That's not the official grade. That's just the initial grade. I have to go through and review your responses. And for forum number 1, I've gone through and looked at all your responses, and I'll post a few comments there this week and update the points for that. But I want to thank everybody for sharing a little bit about themselves. We have an interesting group assembled. And by my count, we have 3 business majors, 1 student who's involved in sports and recreation and also is a student athlete here at Shadow State College. We have at least 1 student who's doing animal science or egg business, 1 student who's in communication or currently interdisciplinary degree, but communication sort of basis, and 1 whose emphasis is in psychology with a math minor. We have, as usual, we have the majority of the class is kind of in the region. So we have a student who's joining us from Broadwater, Nebraska, a student from Alliance, Nebraska, not far from campus here, and a student from Torrington, Wyoming, also not terribly far from Shadow State College. So that's what we typically would see. But we also have 2 students, I guess that's not the majority. We have 2 students who are currently in California doing the course, and also California by ways of New Orleans in one case, and California by the way of Ohio in another case. And it appears to me that these students have had a little bit more experience in much less remote and rural areas than where our course is taking place here at Shadow State College. And we have two international students. We have a student who's participating from Saudi Arabia and a student who's participating from Mozambique. So that is really exciting and interesting. And I can tell you that in the past few summers, I have had students all over the world taking this course. As we go forward next next unit, we'll start building our own service projects, and I will be sharing with you many more examples of previous student examples, our student projects, so that you can see. Right off the top of my head, I know that we had a student who did a really successful project in San Francisco a couple of years ago. We had another student who was working out of Durham, North Carolina, and I've had students across the state do really interesting projects. So I just want everybody to realize that that's one of the nice things about a course like this. Every community has certain areas that could use some assistance, could use some, some real service, and we should be able to locate issues, concerns, problems in our communities that we can build an FYI project around that should be pretty interesting and exciting to share with each other. And we'll learn a lot more about our different places in the world as a result. I also enjoyed learning a little bit about your background, learning what your rooms are like as you described them, but it seems like our group of students is really interested in the outdoors, in exercise, sports, photography, gardening, golfing. So it seems like a strong component of sort of outdoorsy type activities, but also a lot of interest in interior design or decorating our home projects. That's kind of typical what we see in the summer. We have an eclectic taste in films and in movies and television that you shared with each other, and a lot of variety in our musical taste, from country to rock to rap to world music. Very interesting, and I really enjoyed learning a little bit more about you all from that standpoint. Also, we have at least two students who are either in the midst of getting married or have currently become engaged. So that's kind of exciting. So anyway, thank you very much for sharing those responses with each other. And as we settle in, I hope we learn a lot more and communicate a lot more and become much more comfortable with each other as a working group. Again, it's going to be a fairly small, intimate group, but I think it works well in a class like this. I just wanted to say nothing much more to add other than to sort of follow the lesson for today. You need to watch two pretty emotional and stirring documentaries on poverty. One is the Frontline series on the poverty amongst children in America, and that series is a few years old, but it is really a compelling sort of look at what's going on there. And then more locally, we have the ABC documentary that was done on the children of the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation, which is probably our most our regional area that probably has the most need for partnership and contributions as far as addressing issues that typically fall under service projects, social issues, issues that have to do with poverty, obviously, issues that have to do with healthcare, issues that have to do with drug and alcohol abuse, and those sort of things. That's why we're including that documentary, and I think that you'll see that some of these really will tie in and complement very well the book we're reading next week called this week, I'm sorry, A Path Appears, and I don't have a copy of it with me in my office here, but so you'll see that there's going to be a lot of discussion about this. Now, I want to stress we just happen to be looking at a lens of poverty. It's a very common issue. You think of service, oftentimes many of you have served. We'll find out in the forum posts when everybody's finished posting them for today that many of you have served in, soup kitchens or in homeless shelters and things like that. Very common arena to do service projects. But that doesn't mean that your service projects going forth have to be in this arena of poverty. It could be in drug and alcohol abuse. It could be in community beautification, recycling, waste reduction, environmental issues, education and outreach, public health, all sorts of things. But we're just using poverty because there's a lot written about it, and there's a lot that's been done with documentaries, and it is a problem that's always with us. So it's a good place to start as we look at sort of typical sort of service projects. So here I am in our lesson number 3, and I just want to point out that here's the 2 documentaries posted, and then you go to the lesson note. There's a note here about the readings. So if we go to our home page, you'll see on our schedule that today you have kind of a little bit of a break. You watch these 2 documentaries and you're learning about poverty, and you'll post this forum response by Thursday, but not a real heavy load of work. That's going to switch on Thursday. So on Thursday, if you're looking at the home schedule, you'll see that we start Unit 2. So what we've been doing in our first couple of lessons, and this is typically something that would take 2 or 3 weeks in the classroom, we'd have a lot of discussion about these public social issues and how to address them, poverty and that sort of thing. We might do some readings. We've done that in basically 1 week or so. And with today's lessons, you're going to sort of explore some background as well on some of these social issues. You've done a little bit from our textbooks, the Learning to Serve textbook, but mostly we've just been discussing and preparing. That's what that is called, preparing for service learning. On Thursday, we hit the ground running with Unit 2, where you start to actually do the FYI thing, the building of a service learning project with some of this background information. Hopefully this will sort of contribute as you start thinking about what you're actually going to do this semester for the service learning project. So for that, you will jump into Chapter 2 in our textbook, and there will be a set of assignments that will walk you through some fairly involved homework, basically, and you'll get all the instructions in that in our next lesson, but just be prepared. I would highly recommend that you have a little bit less load this lesson. I would be reading ahead. I would be reading Chapter 2. Have it read before you start the lesson on Thursday, and you'll be in good shape. And then the other thing is that is always tricky in a summer course, but we are going through some of these background readings. And so A Path Appears, Part 1, that's 164 pages. Some of the writing could be a little bit dry because it's just talking about, it's not a fictional narrative, it's not storytelling so much, but the stories of the people in these chapters that are being described are compelling, and all you need to do is just read it and sort of soak it in, and don't dwell on it too much. You don't have to spend a ton of time on every page, every chapter. You don't have to take a ton of notes. Just soak it in, because it's just a long exploration of trying to deal with sort of issues that face communities throughout the world in a variety of ways. It's meant to sort of be background information, something that's helpful to keep in mind and put you in the right spirit for this course. But when you sign in on Friday, we'll have a forum that will open, and it involves posting these challenge questions. We'll go over all this in the lesson on Thursday, but be prepared. You want to have had that material read before the Friday forum is posted, and you only have a little bit limited amount of time to respond to the forum, so it really is important that you do as much of that reading ahead of time as you can. So that's all my notes for today. I hope everybody is getting along in the course. As always, if you have any questions at all, make sure you contact me by email. I'll be monitoring my email constantly, so that's the best way to contact me. Good luck this week, and I'm looking forward to working with you all.